Right here, this camera.
Welcome back into Frogs Today post-game show. I am with TCU great Marshall Newhouse. I'm David Bowden, and we are coming live to you after a 59-17 victory for TCU. Marshall, they took care of business, and not everybody can say that around college football today, can they?
Absolutely. We talked about that pregame, about handling what's in front of you, having enough senior leadership to not overlook these teams that are full of all kinds of talent that transfers in, and just going down the scoreboard, which we're about to do. You're going to find out that not everybody that should have taken care of business today did that thing. So the Frogs did. We're moving on to the next week. But yeah, let's see around the conference and the country how teams have fared.
Yeah, there was a couple. We'll start with the major upsets. We saw earlier today Marshall went into South Bend to beat Notre Dame.
Not me, the Thundering Herd. The Thundering Herd went into South Bend.
That's right.
A Notre Dame team with a lot of high hopes. They came off a loss to Ohio State, but a promising team, a new head coach, and they just took it to them. They got a paycheck to beat Notre Dame in Notre Dame. How about that?
Yeah, they sure did. And another team that got a paycheck to go beat a team was just south of here, down in College Station. We saw Appalachian State go in with a victory over Texas A&M today as well.
Yeah, we're not gonna sit here and grin too much about A&M getting beat by App State, but as one of my old teammates on Twitter just tweeted, you people got to stop paying App State to play non-conference, because those guys are for real. There's a reason they've knocked off a lot of teams. There's a reason they're been promoted to FBS. They're for real, and they found out today.
Yeah, absolutely. They keep doing it time and time again. And so you look throughout the Big 12 and some of the big games, and we got Texas Tech over Houston, 33-30. That was in double overtime. Houston had the lead going in late. Texas Tech kicked the field goal to tie it to go into double overtime, but a good one down there, and it's kind of a preview of Houston, who is, of course, going to join the Big 12 next year.
Absolutely. A Houston team led by Dana Holgerson, kind of a retread, but a coach who's very capable. A Tech team that I think will be much improved, adding to, I think, a strong Big 12. We were talking about this earlier. So a big matchup, and we have to look forward to Texas Tech down the road. Those guys are going to be tough to beat.
For sure. We saw a quintessential Iowa-type football game. Iowa versus Iowa State, an early season rivalry, and Iowa State, took the win at 10-7 over Iowa. Not a lot of points scored yet again for Iowa.
That was a great game to take a nap. If you're ready, you'd had a good morning, a couple drinks, couple meals. That was a good nap game.
Absolutely. Kansas went on the road to West Virginia. Last time they had a road win was, of course, at Texas last year, but to go down to West Virginia, they also went into overtime. The score's a little bit deceiving. It was 55-42. They were up by a touchdown, but then had a pick six in overtime to go up 55-42.
Kansas, a team we haven't been able to talk about for a long time to say they are much improved, but they are much improved. They are no longer the basement dwellers of the Big 12. This is going to be a very even league, a strong league. With teams like Kansas putting performances like that together.
Yeah, for sure. And Oklahoma is one of the teams that took care of business today with Kent State at 33-3. Oklahoma State, a final there. They pulled away late over Arizona State, 34-17. It was close throughout the entire game. It was, so the score isn't indicative of that was a close one, and a little bit of a surprise how tight it was for as long as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, taking care of business. That wraps up, with TCU. Really, the only other Big 12 team to talk about, and let's jump into that now. I mean, look, we talked in pregame about taking care of business, and regardless of who your opponent is, and making sure that it's all about us. We heard that all week from the head coach down to the coordinators, down throughout the whole team, and I think they really made an emphasis of it. But it's one thing to talk about, right? Have a coaching mantra and all that stuff. It's another thing to live it and carry it out, and they did that in practice. And clearly it paid off here today.
It paid off big. It's obvious that we have a team that's mature, a team that wants to take care of business. But, again, we're going to talk about it moving forward, a team that has such a luxury to be able to fall into a backup quarterback of the caliber of Max Duggan, who you just mentioned to me at his 30th start today. How many teams in the country can say that? Not only that, how many teams in the country can say they have a quarterback who's their QB3 of the caliber of Sam Jackson? So QB room is very strong with TCU. It's a luxury, like I said, and to be able to roll to our next guy, the next man up, and take care of a game like this and we keep moving forward, that's the mark of a team that's ready to go.
Yeah, I want to start with Max Duggan. We're also going to get into Sam Jackson as well. But with Max, like you said, 38th start. So, again, to have a number 2 quarterback, and I put that in air quotes because really, I think you're going to see a little bit of him throughout the entire year, regardless of the situation with Chandler Morris, who, by the way, is going to be stopping by Frogs today here in the post-game show later on, which would be great to have him in here. But, he goes out there, and to have a guy with that kind of experience, it's just impressive. Today, threw 5 touchdowns, 390 yards, and we haven't got some of the final stats coming in, but to have that type of night, to go in, he's just a consummate pro.
Yes.
I mean, and on the field, but also the way he carries himself around the locker room. And, listening to him after Colorado last week as he got inserted in the game,
right.
And his first comments afterwards just say, hey, listen, my job is to be the best backup quarterback in the country.
Yeah.
That's my job. And my job is to be a great teammate, take care of Chandler when he's out there and do those things. And, to see that from a guy who's had so much football underneath him, a coach's kid, right? Yeah. And so somebody who understands what to say and what to do in those situations.
And that's a mature man. That's a mature, secure in himself person. I don't think you can expect every quarterback to handle it that way. And it's such a luxury. That's such a benefit for us to have a guy like that to both be a leader in the locker room, even as he's accepted the backup role. He's being the best version of himself. And today, 5 touchdown passes, 390 yards, or 290 or 390?
390,
390, and just made it look effortless, did what we're supposed to do, and we're moving on to what we now have as an open week. But a team that we're going to continue to get people back, continue to kind of mature and grow, and a guy like that we can not skip a beat, plug him in. It's an incredible thing for us to have moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to get into those receivers, and I think at last count, and again, stats coming in after the game right now, but I think last count, 14 different receivers touched the football, so we're going to get into that for sure. But I thought it was interesting. We'll continue on Max, but to see Sam Jackson go in there in the middle, really the start to the middle of the second quarter, and I think the reason behind that, and you tell me what you think, Marshall, but I think one of the big reasons is they wanted to get him some meaningful snaps, right? As we saw last week, the next quarterback can be in a single play, and it's important not to just have that guy go in at the very end of the game where you just hand the ball off, but to give him some meaningful snaps to actually run the offense.
Sure.
I thought that was telling. And also shows how much confidence they have in Sam as well.
Yeah, it says a lot of different things. Of those being, Coach Dykes, that's an intentional thing. It's an intentional thing for a guy that it's obvious has earned the trust of his coaches, earned the trust of his teammates to have the head coach be like, I'm going to put you in before this game is out of hand. That's by no means was the game over. We're going to get you intentional minutes. We're going to let you run the offense, both as a proactive way to prepare for what might come because we just don't know how injuries will play out, but also because we believe in you. We trust you with the football. We trust you to lead your teammates and do what you've been coached to do. Again, having 3 deep of guys who can do that and you can kind of interchange is an incredible thing. Sam Jackson showing that today. I expect to see more of him moving forward regardless of how they shake this out. He's an excellent talent. Anybody who's watching him sees the twitch, the fast twitch that this guy has, the arm that he has, the way he can scramble and carry the ball. It's a absolute plus. Even if it's a package, even if it's we don't know that. We haven't asked the coaches, but that seems like something that can be obvious. When we come to these games that are so meaningful, you're going to use everything at your disposal. And having a guy like that on the sidelines, it's a weapon. You got to use your weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the other reasons why you saw him insert at that point, because I think had you had the 3 quarterbacks tonight, right? I think they do have some plans for Sam Jackson, line them up in different spots and get pretty creative. But you're limited to that when you only have you're back down to 2 quarterbacks. You don't want to put them out on the perimeter, do some things in the backfield, where you can risk that injury. So go ahead and let him run the offense because he's earned that. He's certainly earned that. I mean, I think throughout camp, and it was at every practice, and I think the most wow moments, right? The most would you look at that kind of thing came from Sam Jackson.
Yeah. I've heard the same thing, and there's a reason that they went after this guy. He's not a Texas guy, but to find a diamond in the rough like that and then add him to your roster, I mean, this offense, there's a lot of room for growth, a lot of room for potential, and we're going to continue to see that. We just need to be ready to play, and it's seeming like the guys, at least to this point in time, have their stuff taken care of, enough senior leadership to just be like, hey, this is the game that's in front of us. Let's take care of this and move them down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we talked about the quarterbacks, and they certainly have all these weapons to go to, right?
Yep.
I thought it was interesting early on. We didn't see as many running backs, but certainly at receiver, it looked like they wanted to get Quentin Johnson in the game early, get him the ball, and then get him out, right?
Yeah.
He's a guy that has earned the right and to be on a pitch count, so to speak, throughout the year, and he's a guy that they're going to need down the stretch.
We know what Q can do. and he's a guy who's going to help us win some big games moving forward. So again, it's a prudent, intentional way that coaches have been, expending players. We heard from the beginning, the first day that Dykes and his staff came, it was about guys' health and their longevity, having bodies that can recover, and this is a prime example of that. But no one would get up in arms because Quentin got pulled from the game. It's because, hey, we're thinking long term. We're thinking about his health. We need him in the most crucial moments of the season. So
yeah, it also speaks to Quentin's maturity as well, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of guys would look at that as kind of a slight and say, I am a football player. I want to play. I want to be out there.
Yeah.
But for him to have maturity to understand, hey, look, they're just trying to take care of me, right? And they need me for bigger moments. And I think that shows a lot from his maturity, the way he handled it. And I also saw him, it was impressive on the sideline to watch him with some of the younger receivers, coaching them up on the sideline, showing them what to do. And again, just it shows what type of leader he is.
Yes.
And the great thing for this team right now is that's happening at so many different positions
Absolutely.
throughout the team where you see that veteran leadership, taking those guys aside and coaching them up. I think that's when you get a sign of a good team.
Absolutely. Speaking of aside, we're going to take a quick break. We have a special guest coming up after our break. Chandler Morris, you're going to want to listen, see how he's doing, see how he viewed the game. We'll be right back. Marshall Newhouse, Dave Bowden.
Welcome back into Frogs Today post-game show. I am super excited. Of course, Marshall Newhouse is here. I'm David Bowden. And we've got a special guest with us, Chandler Morris. Chandler, thanks for carving up some time to sit down and chat with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We looked into last week in Colorado, got out there, looking at your quarterback room, right? And just looking at the camaraderie, and you can see how tight you guys are. And Marshall and I just talking about that at some other position groups. How big was it for you to have a guy like Max who's a great teammate and helping out, and just to have that cohesiveness amongst the room?
It's huge. Coming to the sideline, Max had started 20-something games. He's been here for a while. He's got a lot of experience. Coming to the sideline and him helping me out with coverages, letting me know what he sees, along with Sam Jackson. We're all very close. We're all pulling for each other. and trying to help each other out.
Good. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you good? I'll go. Yeah, we can see it. I mean, both in how all three of you play, and then just the way you interact with each other. I play football, so I'm paying attention to body language and just I've seen rooms where it's like guys they don't really mess with each other. You guys seem to really care about each other. What are some things going into the season that you really wanted to work on? How do you think your game has progressed going into the camp competition and now into week one and moving forward?
Um, Really, this offseason, I really wanted to focus on kind of my deep ball, and then also kind of getting to my fourth progression, stuff like that. Which a lot of that comes with experience.
Sure.
I mean, you can go out there and throw routes on air all you want to, but when you got 7 dudes teeing off on you, I mean, it's a little bit of a different story. So I mean, obviously, experience is going to help, and then just kind of diving into the playbook all off season. That was my biggest thing. Really having a big understanding on check downs, stuff like that, where my eyes need to be, which is a huge part. That's been a huge focus for me this offseason.
Chandler, we saw it throughout college football today. I don't know how much you caught. I know you were busy, but some wild scores, some huge upsets, and you guys went in and took care of business today. Marshall and I talked about all the senior or veteran leadership you have on this team at each position. We saw guys tonight, even older guys that were out of the game, going over to younger guys. How much did that play into you guys having that mentality of just worrying about yourselves, regardless, kind of a nameless, faceless opponent, that type of thing?
I mean, it's huge. Obviously, like you said, I mean, the college football world, it's anybody can show up and beat anybody any given week. So I mean, you saw with App State today, going into Kyle Field, one of the craziest environments there is, walking in and upsetting them. I mean, it's huge. That's been our focus, I guess, since the staff has gotten here. It's about us. That's kind of our mindset. It's about us. It's not about anybody else. If we play the best of our ability, we're going to win. I mean, we have the athletes, we have the talent, and it's about execution. We threw the ball really well tonight. Got to throw it downfield a lot, so that was good to see. We had receivers making plays, so it was really fun to watch.
You talk about all those plays down the field. Tell us a little bit about this receiving group, man. It is as deep as I've seen in a long time.
No, it is. I mean, it was awesome seeing Jordan Hudson get in the end zone tonight. Yep. That was fun to see. We're just deep. We had a lot of depth, like you said, and just dudes buying into the system.
And on top of them being deep, I made a note here. This is one of the bigger college receiving groups I've ever seen. Like size-wise, when I was here, the guys weren't this big. How does that play into how you prepare and then go into the game when you make decisions, their size, thinking that some of these guys, hey, one-on-one balls are a viable option sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just put the ball around them. That's kind of our mindset. That's my mindset. I've kind of grown up that way. Just put the ball around them. Let your receivers go do what they do. Go make plays. Like you said, I mean, we've got 6'4" dudes outside, and they're hungry. They want it, so they're gonna go make a play.
Chandler, you've been around football your whole life. You're obviously at another college program. You're here, so you've seen a lot, right, in a short amount of time. What do you really love about this team?
Probably how close we are. I mean, that's probably the thing that I've seen that's changed the most from last year to this year. And that's not I'm not targeting anybody, but it's really in our culture here, I guess now. And we've done a great job. I mean, it took a lot of time to build that trust with each other. And kind of on the road in Colorado last week, we faced some adversity. And I was really eager to see how are we going to handle adversity this year. I mean, we have a lot of hype on us, a lot of confidence coming into the season. How are we going to handle adversity when we get punched in the mouth? Are we going to go back to our old ways, or are we going to go to how we are now, what we're being taught now, what we're training like, and stuff like that? So it's probably definitely our trust in each other.
Yeah, as a former player, that makes me proud to kind of see guys doing that. You can tell.
And I think when you talk, I'm sorry, go ahead, Coach.
Well, no, I was going to finish and say, the best teams I was ever part of, both collegiately and professionally, were teams where the players basically ran the team. Yep. We had a coach who recognized, hey, we've got enough leadership, enough camaraderie. These guys are going to hold each other accountable. Do you think Coach Dykes has kind of instilled that confidence in you guys to self-correct, keep each other accountable?
Absolutely. I was going to cut you off, too, and say that he does a great job on that. So, yes, he does. He does a great job on that. He always preaches to us it's our team. and Kaz as well. Coach Kaz tells us that as well, and just he gives us that freedom. And with that freedom, I mean, you got to have a lot of maturity, and we have a lot of maturity on the team.
Awesome. Hey, lastly, I just want to end with this. You talked about buy-in, there and building trust and all those things, and normally it takes a lot longer than that. One of the things we discussed in the pregame show, and we think, and you guys, you correct me if I'm wrong or tell me if we're on the right track, but I think one of the reasons why there's been so much buy-in is just how the staff is taking care of guys, right? If you're taking care of the players in all facets, and you think that has been one of the main reasons why there's been so much buy-in?
Absolutely. I mean, with our nutrition and stuff like that, that's been a huge difference. And I think that them taking a lot of pride in that built a lot of trust with us. I mean, just feeding us all the time. It sounds like a little thing, but it's actually a huge thing. That and just kind of giving us our freedom a little bit, and especially in camp, we'd have some tough practices. Really tough practices, and Coach Dykes would be like, all right, well, I need to ease up on them. I need to take care of them. Same with workouts in the off season. I mean, if they see we're kind of out there, we're broke a little bit, we're kind of hurting because we've been training 4 straight days in a row and it's been tough. They're going to let up on us and kind of let us get our feet underneath us, and that's actually a huge thing, and it builds a lot of trust in them.
Awesome. Well, hey, look, we appreciate you taking the time. We wish you well going forward and everything. And congratulations on being 2-0.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. For Chandler Morris and Marshall Newhouse, I'm David Bowden. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break with Frogs Today post game. Next up, don't stay tuned, Max Duggan. Welcome back to Frogs Today post-game show with Marshall Newhouse. I'm David Bowden, and we are fired up to have another special guest, Max Duggan. Max, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you. You had a big night tonight, and it was you were slinging all over the place, 5 touchdowns. How good did it feel to be kind of fired on all cylinders?
Yeah, obviously tonight it was a lot of fun seeing everybody kind of play to their standard, their ability. Obviously, O-line did a phenomenal job tonight. Obviously, saw what the outside guys, receivers can do when they get the ball in their hands. So defense played well. Obviously, holding them a lot. So it was a lot of fun by everybody tonight.
We earlier in the show we were just going over some of the upsets today, both in the conference and nationally. Leading up to this week, you when you get the start. How did you guys kind of stay together and just keep your mind focused on beating this team? Yeah, they might be a 1AA team, but guys get tripped up all the time. How did you guys keep your focus on beating Tarleton?
Yeah, I think it just shows the kind of the veteran kind of leadership that we have on this team, and obviously with the coaching staff doing a great job of just honing in on play to our standard. Don't worry about anything else. We want to get better. We're going to play to what our strengths are, get better at things that we need to. I think that was just the thing that you saw tonight. The veteran leadership kind of honing in on the guys of doing our jobs and just kind of getting better. So.
Yeah, we talk about all the time, all the senior leadership on this team. You see it at every position group. But one of the things, I'm sure you get asked about this all the time, being a coach's kid, right? But you think that helps you in terms of doing the right thing, saying the right thing? Because it happens so often. We saw it today in college football, upsets everywhere because teams overlook other teams. But growing up as a coach's kid, kind of understand that you can't take any team lightly.
Yeah, obviously growing up as a coach's kid, you always heard the term, trap game, things of that sort. So I think, just doing a great job of understanding that we're trying to play to our standard. We're trying to get better. We got things that we need to work on. So coming out here, working on those things, flying around, having a good time. But I think that was kind of what we saw tonight.
Today, I think I saw it was your 30th start.
Yes, sir.
Man,
So
you don't call me sir. It's all
Okay.
good.
All right.
But, comparing this start to maybe a first handful of starts, how do you think your game has matured, both you as a player and a person, from then till now?
Yeah, I think I'm just more confident there. Just obviously maturity wise, have grown a lot in that aspect of understanding what defense are trying to do, how they're trying to attack us, how their game plan is, how to lead an offense, playing big time atmospheres. I think those are the things that I've seen kind of my game grow in that aspect of starts. So
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have the number of receivers that you have out there, and it was fun to see true freshman Jordan Hudson out there make a bunch of plays, and we saw that fade, that one bound on the sideline, then of course he got in the end zone. How cool was that for him to see that and start throwing to a true freshman?
yeah, I think it was awesome. Obviously, we've seen what his ability is and what he's capable of during fall camp, so it was nice to see him come out here against another opponent and do it on a stage like this in front of the home crowd. Dude's gonna be a good one, so it's fun throwing to him. Makes my job easy.
I'm sure.
Well, you guys have an off week next week. What's the team mindset moving forward? You got a week to prepare, and then you got SMU after that, and then you get in the gauntlet. How are you guys kind of staying focused and preparing for the rest of the season?
I think just doing the same thing that we've done for the last 2 weeks of preparing wise, having a good week of practice this week, next week going into the game. I think just continuing to get better, understanding that we have a lot of potential, but potential only means so much. So we got to know that we're about to get into the stretch of every game's a dogfight. So just getting better, not kind of taking steps back in practice, because we know you got the ability to be really good, but so does everybody else in this league. So.
Right. Hey, I just noticed that you had 15 different receivers with the catch today. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you don't see that often on that sheet. Was that something that was intentional going in that you were planning on, or just kind of happened organically?
I think it just kind of happened. Obviously, with the guys that we have on this roster, there's a lot of guys, different spots, different body types that all have their strengths and that can all play. And I think Coach Riley did a great job of scheming up and dialing up and putting guys in successful positions. And you just kind of saw that tonight, of kind of getting the ball out, seeing what happens to all the guys that can go and make plays.
Speaking of that, we were talking to Chandler just about the QB room and how tight you guys see him and the camaraderie there, and the maturity it must take for you being an older guy, having an interesting situation. Today we saw Sam Jackson get put in earlier in the game. Was that talked about before? Was that something you guys are going to do more of going forward?
Yeah, we knew kind of going in that was going to happen. It was good to see Sam get those meaningful reps early on in the game, and obviously we know what type of player he is. He's a great player. Getting him in there and kind of seeing just his ability to take over, it's a lot of fun to get out on the practice field. Obviously with Josh Hoover doing the same thing, it's just a lot of fun to see all the hard work all the work that they put in at the practice field, come out and kind of show up on game time.
Awesome. Well, hey, look, I want to say, I'll tell you what, you had 390 yards tonight, 5 touchdowns, and as guys who've been around football and him as a player, me so as a coach, right? When you can't play, you coach. But being around that whole life, to see a guy like you, and I thought your answers last week were amazing. I know they were genuine as well. Just said, I'm the best team guy I can. I'm going to know my role and be I think that speaks volumes about who you are as a man. And so kudos to you, man. Fired up for you for tonight. And thanks again for stopping by and joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
Appreciate
You got
it,
it.
Max. Thank you, man.
Well, thanks. Well, good. For Max Duggan and Marshall Newhouse, I'm David Bowden, and we'll be right back after this break with Frogs Today post-game show. Welcome back into Frogs Today post-game show. I'm David Bowden along with Marshall Newhouse, and we have another special guest with us, cornerback Josh Newton. Josh, you had a great game. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time, and saw you tonight. You had a tackle, pass breakup, and also an interception, but you seemed a little down and out. Tell us a little bit why you were upset you only had one pick.
It just those type of games I just want to take advantage because I know like teams like that they're gonna come out with find all their best bullets.
Yeah.
So I just try to take advantage, but I didn't come out with 2 picks, but it is what it is. My team, we played. We played to a certain standard, but going into the bye week, we know we got to play a little bit harder. And we shouldn't have gave them 17 as a defense.
Yeah, well, it speaks to a lot about you, Josh, a guy that you take that personal, right? It bothers you, and you're a guy who's obviously you transferred in, but you immediately jumped into a leadership role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Marshall and I were talking earlier about all the different positions having leadership role. What does it mean to you that the guys have embraced you so quickly as a leader, especially amongst those defensive backs?
It's been a blessing because it's like they respect my work. They respect my mindset and how I come to work, and I just try to make that a positive disease and try to spread it throughout my room, and then it'll get to another position room, then they get to the defense, then they get to the offensive side, and now we got this nucleus going of good energy, and it's gonna help us play on Saturday and come out on top with some big ball games.
I love to hear that, man, because that stuff that definitely it picks up on guys. It's the way you go about your business.
Right.
Somebody might be paying attention, they might be on offense, but like how you work every day is to me who you become.
Right.
Like that's the man that you are. So that's great to hear.
Mm-hmm.
How as the defensive backs this week preparing for Tarleton. Listen, we saw a bunch of upsets today. You can't take anybody lightly in college football anymore.
Oh yeah.
Tarleton with Bo Allen, a transfer from Kentucky, 2 big receivers on the edge. How'd you guys go into this game trying to take care of business, but also recognizing, hey, those guys are talented too?
Right. Rule number 1, when we first turn the film on, we see they like verticals a lot. And the quarterback trusts his receivers a lot. So the main thing was try to stay on top of the verticals and make them sit it down. I mean, we gave up some, but, it didn't cause us, the ball game. But at the end of the day, we have a standard in our room as a cornerback room. So it is what it is. We're going to fix it on film, get back to the drawing board, get back to the practice field, and we're going to get ready, go through this bye week and get ready for SMU.
Yeah, it was obviously a convincing win, but you're right, Josh. I think, again, it speaks volumes to you as a leader to have some things to go into this bye week to quote unquote work on, right?
Yes,
I think if you don't have those moments, then you may kind of skate through this bye week.
Yeah.
As you go into it, though, what are some of the things that you guys want to work as a group that you've talked about that you kind of want to improve on and use this bye week? Because it's almost an extension of camp, right? During this time.
In
and
a
so,
sense.
yeah. So what are some of the things that you want to focus on this week?
The main thing really for us as a group, really technique, because that's what kind of didn't allow some of us to play the verticals or slants that they caught, and that's one of the main things, and that's an everyday thing. Like you can work on that a million times and get it right, but that one time you get it wrong, it's going. So that's just part of the defensive back life.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we still got to stay on top of our game.
You're a younger guy, but plenty of experience. How have you kind of grown accustomed to Coach Gillespie and his style, both from a scheme standpoint, but also his coaching style? Obviously, you weren't here with the previous regime. I wasn't on the opposite side of the ball, but it was a whole different energy. I'm curious how you have kind of grown accustomed to Coach Gillespie and his style.
Coach Gillespie, I love his style because he likes to attack. As defense, you don't want to sit on your heels all game. You want to set the tempo. So he does a great job like of enforcing that in practice. Because by the time we get to the game, our mindset is already locked in on attack. Even though we didn't even come out of attack like we should have, the 4 quarters. We played some good downs of defense, the first couple quarters. But when we came out of halftime, we came out kind of like, but it's all good. We got the W, and we know what we need to fix as a defense.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of the nature of those games sometimes, right? When games get out of hand, sometimes you can have a slight lapse or things like that. But again, like we talked about, it's able to have things to work on.
Right.
For you, as a guy who's been somewhere else, coming in here, and again, they've embraced you, you've embraced them. It seems like it's been a great fit. What do you really love about this team as a whole?
It's just the willing to win. Like guys just we're buying in day by day by day by day by day, and by the time we get to the climax of the season, we'll see what we're really about. But I just love the guys like they come to work. Don't nobody really complain. So it's a great thing to be around.
That's fantastic. Well, Josh, I'll tell you what, you've impressed people not only on the field, but off the field, in the locker room. People just speak so highly of you as a young man, as a leader. And so proud to have you represent the Frogs out there. Again, congratulations on the win tonight and playing a great game. And enjoy the bye week and good luck across down in Dallas there the week after.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
All right.
Well, again, from Marshall Newhouse, I'm David Bowden. Josh Newton joined us, and we will be back with our last segment to wrap up after a great, again, another win, 59-17 for the Frogs over Tarleton State. Back after this break. Welcome back into Frogs Today postgame show. This is Marshall Newhouse. I'm David Bowden. And we just had some great guests come in after the game, after a 59-17 win over Tarleton State. That your Frogs took care of business. And again, we can't say that for everybody across college football, but the Frogs sure did today. And Marshall, one of the things as we wrap up here, that as we look ahead, I think one of the things that we can safely say throughout this entire team is the depth, right, at just about every position. And so that's one of the things that really bodes well for the Frogs moving forward, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, so much of a successful campaign is about the depth and the quality of that depth. And then we assume, I was always told, that, you'd be in a rookie symposium and ask you, hey, what's the injury rate in the NFL or the college? It's 100%. There are going to be guys that get injured. You're going to be tested. Your depth's going to be tested. So it's an absolute pleasure and a luxury to be 2 and sometimes 3 deep at a lot of positions, important positions.
Yeah, absolutely. I know last week, they got a couple guys at linebacker that are bumped up. Marcel Brooks plans on being back here. They look to have him back here pretty soon, the next couple of weeks. But they even have a contingency plan for that. They say they have to take a guy with his hand off the ground and bring him back, or maybe bump a guy down from the secondary.
Sure.
But just about every other position that you look at, there is not only depth in terms of numbers, but depth in terms of talent,
Yeah.
right? And that was certainly on display tonight. You look at the wide receiver positions, 15 different guys caught a football tonight. And you don't see that too much in the stat line, but for tonight, it was impressive. Max Duggan had his choice, and they spread the ball all over the place. It just goes to show the amount of weapons they have on this team.
Yeah, even before the game was out of hand, we saw, the key positions, multiple guys rotating through: running back, receiver, quarterback. We saw Sam Jackson come in earlier than you might have expected, but like we were talking to Max Duggan and Chandler, that was intentional. That is something that they are doing on purpose to get him meaningful minutes because you just never know. You really don't know, but it also says how much coaches trust him, and coaches trust other guys like him in that position in the second or third spot. This is how you win championships. You build your depth, and you have guys that in critical moments when somebody rolls an ankle and whatever that might be, you got somebody that can step in and help you win in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not the depth, we talked about the talent, the numbers, but really the versatility, right? At each position, you've got, we start on the offensive side,
yeah.
But you've got guys that, you've got tall, long receivers we got some guys that can take the top off of defense.
Yeah.
You got some slot guys that are quick inside.
Yeah.
You got some guys at running back that can move out there, right? And then return guys to the backfield. I mean, there's just so many options and versatility on that Frog offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talked to both the older quarterbacks tonight. We expect more of that moving forward. I mean, this was not a tune-up game. We were taking it serious. Speaking to these guys and the things that the coaches are speaking to them, they're very much focused. They're dialed in. They're not going to get tripped up like a lot of teams we saw today. But moving forward, we're going to be able to have a lot of weapons at our disposal moving forward in what is looking to be a very strong Big 12 slate.
Yeah, and flip over the defensive side for a second. We actually saw, going back to that depth that we talked about, we saw wholesale changes. I mean, we saw times where they were subbing out 3 for 3 at defensive line, subbing out 3 linebackers for 3,
yeah.
and just running them on and off the field. And they weren't afraid to do that early in the game. And it just shows that the confidence they have in not only their starters, but sometimes 2s and even 3s in some spots.
And when you get into fourth quarter of these pivotal games, you want guys as fresh as possible. And being able to shuttle in the second group and not really drop off that much is an absolute luxury. So this is something we're building in the offseason. The guys that came through tonight on the show talked about how the coaches want to take care of their health and their bodies. All this stuff matters. It compounds each little layer of everything. So it means being able to play meaningful games at the end of the season for championships, and that's what they're building to right now.
Sure. When you talk about championships, I know it's early.
Sure.
But as we head out here for Frog Today post game show, two things I look at that we've talked about the reoccurring theme all night long in the pregame show as we watching during the game. But we talked about depth and we talked about veteran leadership.
Yep.
You have those two things, Marshall. You've really got a shot to make some waves in the Big 12.
Absolutely, and we with those veterans. It's not a given that they always buy in, especially with new coaching staff and new way of doing things. But it sounds like we have complete buy-in from a team that it's obvious that they're being taken care of. The coaches want the best for them, and in turn, what's best for the team. And when you have your best players and your oldest players who buy in, that trickles down. We talked to Josh just now. He hopes the way he works and his work ethic is a disease, he calls it, a positive disease on the rest of the locker room. And having guys like that speak this way, I mean, that bodes well for the rest of the season. That bodes well for the locker room.
Yeah, I loved how you phrased that.
Yeah.
Positive disease.
Hey,
right?
I'll take it, man. Yeah. I love it. That's kind of mindset. That's a winner's mindset.
Absolutely. Well, look, we didn't even get into offensive line play. We didn't get into
there will be plenty of time. We're going to be here every home game this season. We're going to get in the weeds. We're going to talk ball with you guys. This is big exciting. This is our first show. We're gonna dial it up. But it's been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We'll certainly get into a little bit about your experience at TCU and all those things. And so we're at the bye week next week, across the way to Dallas.
Yeah.
We're going to play out there.
Oh, yeah.
And that, of course, everyone's got that in circle on your calendar. But we will be back here, Frogs Today post game show. For home against Oklahoma, Marshall Newhouse and David Bowden. Again, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, man. This is a pleasure.
Well, it's been my pleasure as well. We will see you. Make sure you stay tuned to Frogs Today and frogstoday.com for all your frog needs. Make sure you stay tuned to us. We've got all kinds of things going on, breakdowns, covering all sports, and, of course, diving into this football program. So join us next time.